Hey friend, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Listen, if this is your first time here, welcome. I give lighthearted reviews and recaps of some of my favorite TV shows and movies. So if this is something that interests you, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you like what you see, hit that like button for your girl. And of course, leave me a comment. I have a lot more content coming to my channel, and I'm glad you're here. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right, y'all. We are back with an all new episode of The Shy. This is season 7, episode 5. This one was called Safe Harbor. And this was an okay episode. I kind of consider it like maybe a filler. It wasn't a whole lot going on this week, but I think we are ramping up for it to get heated up. We're like halfway through the season, and it's about that time to turn the corner on this thing and heat it up a little bit. So, but this one was an okay episode. You guys let me know what you thought about it. But we're gonna open up the episode. We're gonna see Reg and Jake. It looks like they're knocking off ATMs, and I'm trying to figure out why is Jake out here doing this dumb mess with him. I understand that's his big brother, and he's probably getting bullied into doing it because we all know that Jake had his clothing line and he was doing well. Now here come Reg messing up everything. After that, of course the cameras was running, so it's coming back because the cameras were running. They did have their little ski mask on, but I don't know. I don't feel good about it. And speaking of that, he takes him to a jewelry store and he's buying him jewelry and he's telling him, hey, don't let nobody make you feel bad about buying jewelry and this, that, and the third. Just feeding his head with stuff. Jake is so much smarter than I think Reg gives him credit for, because I think Reg feels like he's still the same little boy that he was before he went away, but he's not. And I feel like Jake needs to be the one to stand up to Reg. That's the only way he's going to be able to get his independence back, is to stand up to him, or maybe even worse. I don't know. And I'm here for it because Reg is already getting on my nerves, and it's time for him to go. So speaking of Reg, we got our friend, good old Detective Toussaint. Honey, she is back. We see her. She's in the car. She takes a call from her son, who is currently locked up, and he's telling her, hey, Reg is alive and he's out in these streets. She's like, what? Don't be telling me that. Don't be taking me down a rabbit hole with this now, talking about Reg is out. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And she's like, well, I can't go off of pretty sure, but what I will do is I'll start asking around, and I'll go to my supervisors and I'll see what I can find. So, the son just reminds the mother, Detective Toussaint, that if they can get Reg, that maybe that will take some time off of his sentence. And that's all the motivation that Lieutenant Detective Toussaint needs, because get Reg, her son gets out of jail, so it's like win-win. So I'm sure that's going to be the motivation to really come down on the mob and come down on Reg more specifically. So I'm excited to see that, because honey, Reg got to go. He got to either go away for good or go sit down in jail somewhere, but he's got to go, because I'm so upset about what he's doing with Jake. All right, so next we got the mob. We see Nuck and his crew. It's daylight. They're outside. They're handling business. And one of his boys drives up, and Nuck sees that he's kind of walking around a little bit loud, right? He's got the music blasting. He's coming up late. He's speeding up, and he's got all these chains on. And so if y'all remember when the season first started and Nuck took over, he told the guys, listen, y'all, we're gonna do things a little bit different. Y'all are gonna have to lay low, don't be loud, just stay low and we'll be fine. But when you start getting loud and you start wearing flashy stuff, that's when we draw attention to ourselves, and that's not what we want to do. So he's reminding this young man, hey, what are you doing? You got all this stuff on. What did I tell you from the beginning? And he was like, I'm sorry about that, man. It's not going to happen again. Next thing you know, it ain't going to happen again, because Nuck just blast him in daylight in front of all the mob, like just without even a second glance. And Bakari is just sitting there watching the whole thing. And he's like, just no remorse. And then he even has the nerve to say, make sure y'all bury him with his chains on. I mean, he doesn't even care at all, just a complete monster. And I'm really worried about Bakari, and I'm hoping now that Bakari is seeing that there is something else besides this street stuff, that his eyes will be open a little bit and he'll see what this is and see that this ain't it. There is another way. And I hope he does it before it's too late, but we'll see. Back at Alicia's, we see the mommies. We got Keisha and Tiff. They're chilling by the pool, and Tiff is telling Keisha that Vic is kind of, playing her clothes, kind of paying a little bit of attention to her. And, she was like, I thought he liked trans women, but, I don't know. And she also says that she's picking up weird vibes from Nuck. And Keisha's like, what kind of vibes? Like sexual vibes? She's like, I don't know. But girl, I don't have time for any of that. I ain't dating nobody right now. I just need to focus on having this baby. And then Keisha kind of low key shades her and it's like, oh, while we focus on the other one. And she just kind of stops and she's like, y'all volunteered. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, Tiffany, yes, they did volunteer because during this time you were saying that you didn't know if you were going to be able to make it and it's too much on you. You just lost your partner and you found out you were pregnant. Of course, um, Keisha made the decision to step up and kind of help you out a little bit, but it's been over 6 months now. And if you well enough to go, about your business and you back to selling your product and stuff like that, then you can get your son back. I mean, it's not a full-time thing here. And she's pregnant too. And I just feel like Tiffany's not taking that into account either, that Keisha and Emmett have their own set of stuff going on. And yes, Emmett is the father of her baby, but Tiffany, it's time to get your son. Okay, the little boy don't ain't feeling you. You can already tell, and you have horrible parenting skills with him. It seems like, and it may be the hormones. I don't know, but you're about to bring another child in this world, and you still ain't went and got the baby that you got with Emmett. You need to go get your son. That needs to be priority number one. And while they're having this conversation, of course, Miss Alicia is ear hustling. She hears the whole thing. And Miss Tiff, if you think that you finna start dating somebody off in the Miss Alicia household, you got another thing coming, honey, because I can tell you right now, that ain't ever, never gonna happen. You trap girl in that house and ain't no dating nobody. So Alicia done already heard that whole conversation and it ain't happening. If anything, that's more the reason for her to probably want to take out Nook now that, she might be feeling that Tiffany's trying to push up. It's way too soon for that anyway, but we'll see what happens with that. All right, so let's just talk about Dom and Jamal real quick because I really don't even know why we got this, why this is even playing on our TV. But we see Jamal, he's talking to Lene and he's telling her that him and Dawn are getting ready to get married, and Lene is just like the rest of us. She's like, why? It is way too soon. You don't even know this girl. Are you just doing it just for the sex, or what's going on, Jamal? What's happening right here? So Jamal's like, listen, I just need you to be a witness. You can chill out on everything else, all your other opinions, because I didn't even have to tell you any of this. And she's, Linnea's just feeling like, I'm so sick and tired of people just like not considering my feelings. She has a conversation with Dom and pretty much is giving her the blues about, her body count and everything. And she's just like, I don't care what people say about me. I love your brother, blah, blah, blah. So, honey, they got Corey that's doing the officiating. I don't know where they went and got him, but honey, I guess he went online and now he's an ordained minister, but he's officiating the ceremony. I guess they just went on ahead and got married up in the house, and they got Papa there. And the ceremony is a complete joke. It's a mess. I mean, it was funny, but I just don't understand the whole purpose of it. I don't know why we're even seeing it. After that, we see them consummate their marriage, and I don't know if that was the only reason why they decided to get married because he didn't want to do it without getting married, but let's just hope that it's more to this than just sex. So we'll see. But again, I don't know why we got these characters on the screen. Nobody here is relevant. I feel like after Kevin left, Lene should have left, and there was no reason for Dom to be there anymore. Her storyline's already been just ran and done. And then we got Jamal, so we really don't need him either because Janae's not going to be there because Kevin left. Not understanding it, but maybe it'll pick up. I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, next we got Tiff. She's at the grow house with Hannibal, and Hannibal is just, congratulating her on the grow house and how well it's doing. And he's like, Rob would really be proud of everything that she's doing out here. He also tells her that the shrooms are ready to be harvested and that she should get somebody to test them out first before she, puts them out there. So Tiff is going to get Vic and Rashad to try the magic mushrooms later on today. We'll see how that turns out. But speaking of that, we got Alicia. She's on her yacht with Rashad. And, he's kind of trying to clean up and everything before the people get there. It looks like Alicia is hosting some kind of elaborate white party for her bougie friends. And Rashad is just not here for it. Anyway, she tells him, hey, you ain't got to worry about sweeping and mopping. Like, I got people to do that. And he's like, well, yeah, I understand that, but I just kind of like to do it. And so they're talking about the party, and he's just like, look, I'm not going to be able to make this party because Tiff wants me and Vic to try out these magic mushrooms. Plus, I don't like hanging out with your bougie friends. And so she looks like she's a little upset about that. But, Rashad's like, listen, I will be back before the end of it and I'll be there to pick you up. And she's like, all right, just don't be late. And he kind of like storms off and she's just looking annoyed. And I'm like, well, what's going on with these two? I mean, I know last week he dropped the L word and she did not say it back. So maybe there's some tension going on there. Maybe it's something they need to talk about, but it doesn't seem like they're on great terms right now. So we got these parties going on at the dock of the boat, right? Looks like we got the church having a party. We got Alicia and her white party. And then we've got Darnell and Emmett and the little brother. I can't think of his name right now. They're all on the boat. And apparently Darnell has a boat, y'all. Who knew? So he's on the boat. He don't never take it out. All he does is just sit and people watch and he barbecues and it's got his music and stuff. So, hey, it sounds like a great time to me. As long as it ain't too hot and the mosquitoes ain't out there, I'm down for it. So, they're all on the boat. They're having a good time. We see the church folk. They're also having some kind of elite church event going on the boat for the hoity-toity church members. And we see Pastor Ezekiel's there. He invited Nook, strangely enough. And so Nook is there, kind of like a fish out of water. One of the church members comes up and starts talking to the pastor about all the crime and stuff that's going on in Chicago. And so Nook is like, well, we expect him to do about it. He's like, I don't know, after school program. So you can just tell that Nook is kind of out of place, but he don't care. I think the pastor even kind of introduced him with another name. And he was like, what's up with that? Like, he was like, I was just trying to be nice. Like, I don't need that. I don't need none of that. I'm not trying to be fake or phony for nobody. So Nook is just kind of, I don't know. He's got just bad vibes. He's a bad person all around. But anyway, speaking of Nook, we got Reg and we got Jake. They're in the car. They're smoking right outside. I don't know if Jake was on his way out to one of these parties, probably the church one, I'm assuming. But anyway, Reg stops him, tells him to stay in the car, tells him that he needs him and that he only trusts him. And so Jake is like, so what? I'm supposed to be hanging out with you all summer, just laying low. And he's like, listen, he's like, what about my business? He's like, F your business. I don't care about your business. You need to stay here with me. I trust you. I need you. And I'm like, if you don't tell Vic what's going on, Jake, or handle this yourself, I promise. It is just making me so upset. And Vic does text Jake and like, hey man, you all right? And he texts back and he's like, yeah. And then like, come on, Jake, you really got to fix this. Like, you're getting bullied by this guy. I know he's your brother. You trying to be there for him. Last episode, y'all was like, y'all going to handle each other. But it comes a point when it's got to be either you or him. And he's taking you down a bad road. Now you're sitting up here with him doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You done already knocked off the ATMs. I'm sure they got the cameras. It's only a matter of time. We got Detective Toussaint. She's on it. So it's just a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. And so I'm so worried for Jake, but we'll see what happens there. All right, so now it's time to try out the shrooms. We got Tiff, Rashad, and we have Vic, and they are there getting ready to do it. Tiff is telling them all about it, telling them, some of the stuff that they might experience. They might tap into some stuff from their childhood or some stuff that might make them emotional. And they're a little weary about that. Rashad is like, man, I ain't trying to be all sad and depressed today. And so Tiff is just like, just take the journey. Let me know how y'all feel, and then let's go. So you can see that Vic is kind of smiling down at her and they're kind of, exchanging glances a little bit too long. I don't know what's going on here with that, but it seems like it could be something. Anyway, Tiff goes, and so it's time for the fellas to indulge in the mushrooms. Before they do, Rashad gives him a little look and he's like, what you looking at me like that for, man? So you could tell that Rashad picked up on the little flirtation that Vic was doing with Tiff. So we'll see what happens to that. Back at the boat, we see Darnell, and again, Darnell and Emmett, they're talking about marriage again. And so, Emmett is just saying, I know I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to marry Keisha. I just don't want to marry her or think that I'm marrying her only because she's pregnant, And then Darnell was just kind of spitting knowledge like, listen, marriage is good. I'm happy to be married. I love being settled down. And I think the little boy's name is Damien. I think the little brother. He was saying, "Man, this sounds like a prison sentence to me. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't really subscribe to, um, marriage and all that it entails." And so, Darnell is like, I don't care what you subscribe to as long as you ain't bringing no babies up in here. I got enough grandchildren as it is. And I don't know if this is foreshadowing, but Emmett just keeps talking and keeps on saying, ain't nothing going to happen to me, Duda gone. Ain't nothing going to happen to me, Duda gone. And I'm like, man, Duda's not the only killer and the only shooter out here in Chicago, Emmett. Anything can happen to you. But I do agree, you need to be prepared and you need to be ready if you're going to marry. Don't just marry just for the sake of being married. Next, over in Alicia's boat or yacht, shall I say, because we at the all white party, we see that we are introduced to one of Alicia's friends who is a publisher. Her name is Hannah, and she rose up on Bakari and was like, so you're the next big thing I hear. Tell me about yourself. And so Bakari tells a little bit about, what the book is about. And she's just like, I want him. I want to sign him up right now today. I want his life story. I want, she comes off a little bit too strong for Bakari. And Bakari is like, man, I'm not feeling that publisher. So Alicia talks to him later on and he expresses that to her. And Alicia's like, huh, too bad, so sad. I don't care if you don't like her or not. Remember, I own you, and more or less that's what she was saying to him, because we all remember what happened when she gave the scholarship and what she said to him. You do know that you owe me. I own you now. And I knew that was going to come back to bite Bakari. But we do have Professor Gardner, who is also there, who says, listen, Bakari, don't let her push you around, and let me see about maybe getting your book published, by yourself without a publisher. Let me just kind of crunch some numbers and see what I can do. So thank God for the professor, because Alicia, she's just like Nook and she's just like Reg, in my opinion. She just got money and she's a woman, but they're all snakes in the grass. All right, so over at the pastor's boat, we see Ezekiel. He's still hanging out with Nook, and they're looking across, and they can see Alicia's party that she's got going on her yacht. So Ezekiel asks Nook, "Who is she?" And she's like, "Oh, that's just a lady with a lot of money that feels like she can change the world, with her money." And Zeke is like, ain't nothing wrong with that. They say money makes the world go round, and he's like, "Man, Kerr, I don't care about her." So I don't know. It looks like Pastor Zeke may have his eye on Alicia, and you can best believe that it's probably going to be a transactional relationship. I really don't think that he wants to get involved with Miss Alicia because she don't play no games, but we'll see what happens there. Also at the church boat, we see Jada. She's talking to one of the churchgoers, and honey, she's giving her all the business about the church and about Pastor Charles giving out happy endings. And so Jada's kind of taken aback about this because I think she realizes that Tracy's kind of feeling the pastor. So she pulls her off to the side and is like, look, girl, I think you need to slow down on this right here because, Pastor Charles, from what I'm hearing on this boat, he's doing a lot in these streets. And so Tracy's kind of playing it down like, oh, girl, no, it ain't nothing like that. But she does ask Charles about it later. And Charles kind of also plays it down like, yeah, a lot of women throw themselves at me because of the position that I have in the church. But it ain't nothing like that. But I'm like, girl, Tracy, you need to get out of that because all I see is heartache and pain. Mary J. Blige, My Life album, just on repeat, just playing. So just be careful, girl. Next, we also see Vic and Rashad that are tripping off the mushrooms. And so as they're coming down off their high, they realize that a lot of the decisions and the life choices that they made was because of the fact that when they were little boys, they didn't receive love from their mothers or just didn't receive love, period. So I guess tapping into that, going into the shrooms, they were both taken back to their childhoods. And it was just kind of a vivid memory that they had. And I think the whole journey kind of wiped them out because they turned over and they went to sleep. And I'm like, Rashad, you need to set an alarm or something, honey, because you got to pick Alicia up and she's going to be mad if you're not there. She already told you don't be late. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, so it looks like it's the end of the night, and Alicia's waiting for Rashad to come pick her up. But of course, Rashad is still on them shrooms, and he's probably still asleep. She gives him a call, and he's like, "Oh man, okay, I'm on my way." And she is clearly annoyed, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. I will figure it out." And just like that, here comes Pastor Zeke. So Pastor Zeke gives her a ride back. And they're sitting outside and they're having a drink by the fire and they're just, catching up and they're talking. And Alicia shares with him about how she's tired of the violence and her thing is she wants every man who kills without a conscience to be taken out of here, which is ironically what she wants to do. She wants to kill without a conscience and just take out people who she thinks are killers. So he's like, "Well, how?" And she's like, "With soldiers, of course." And he's like, "Yeah, that's going to cost money." And then he's like, "Well, how can I help?" And she's like, "Look, I just need you to be on the lookout for men who kill for no reason." Now, remember at the boat earlier that Nuck did share that he did have to take out one of the flashy guy from the crew. And so Zeke is like, "Listen, there are more ways to lead other than using fear." And that's exactly how Nuck is running things right now. We know that's not going to last because people, they don't respond well to being led by fear, and that's exactly what's going on with Nook and his crew. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this arrangement goes. It looks like Pastor Zeke is going to do it because Alicia is saying that she wants to go. Well, she didn't say she wanted to go into business with Zeke, but she's saying, "Listen, if you can do this for me, then I can fund, whatever ventures you have going on out here." He's like, "Yeah, I got rich friends too." She's like, "Yeah, my friends are a little richer." So, money talks. And so I guess that it is what it is. They're in business with each other. So it'll be interesting to see how Pastor Z turns on Nook, or will he turn on Nook? In the meantime, we do see Jake and we do see Reg, and Reg is asking Jake who Alicia is. Jake's like, "Yeah, so she was the one who got Vic off of his charges." And he's like, "Does she have money?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, she got money." He's like, "Okay, bet, good to know." But speaking of Reg, of course, the detectives are there. They got the footage from the ATMs, and she's going to her superior. She's like, "Look, do you remember Reginald Walker or Jones, whatever his last name is?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But he's dead." And she's like, "I don't think that he's dead. I got a tip from an inside source that says that he's still alive." And so they're just looking at the pictures, and yep, sure enough, it's Jake and it's Reg. So we will definitely see what happens next episode with this. Let's just say a prayer for Jake and just hope that nothing happens with him, as well as all the kids, Bakari and just all of them. I don't know what's going on with Papa and Lene. I really hope that they don't go down that road. He did give her a ride home, and you know how Papa is. Papa is Papa. He's sensitive and he's a lover boy. So we'll see what happens there, but I really hope that they don't do that. They need to give Papa something to do, though. I don't know. We'll see, because he didn't really have a role this episode. But anyway, that was The Shy. It was okay. Like I said, it was a filler episode. But you guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that Reg and Nook are going to go to war next episode? Or I really feel like Emmett is really talking up his own demise. I really hope they don't write him off, but he just keeps, assuring everybody that he's safe because dude is gone. I don't know what's going on with that. Also, the mamas, we got Tiff and we got Keish. What's going on there? I don't know if that's getting ready to blow up or be something, but it seems like they're both getting on each other's nerves, or it could just be that they're both pregnant. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about this episode. Comment down in the comment box about how you felt about it, and we'll talk about it there. And I will see you guys the next time we do it. All right. Until then, bye.